Any questions regarding? Yeah. Yes. So. See, I mean, when you say mother, mother is someone who gives birth, right, to a child, right? Now, in case of Buddha, like when you say the birth of the Buddha, like why or how Gautama became the Buddha? So who gave birth to the Buddha? So that is his prajna, right? So this prajna is basically is also same as I told you earlier. This prajna is same as enlightenment, right? So that bodhi. So without getting the bodhi, he cannot become a Buddha, right? So from that point of view, we can say that bodhi is the mother of Buddha. Okay, prajna is a mother because she make him a Buddha. Otherwise, he was just Gautama, right? So from that point of view. Okay, so last time, remember, we discussed about the title, right? While discussing the title, we also saw that the title Vajracchedikā is understood as Vajracchedikā as a Tatpurusha, destroyer or cutter of Vajra, and then Vajra is used for a term used for two types of obstacles, right? Klesha varana and Jneya varana. So obstacle in the form of mental defilements, and obstacle in the sense of limitations to knowledge, yeah, knowable limitations with regard to knowable objects. Now, and they are very hard, very difficult, very difficult to crack, and therefore they are called Vajra. Yeah, they are compared with Vajra. That was one interpretation. Second interpretation of the title was that it is prajñāpāramitā is called Vajracchedikā because it is like Vajra, Vajravat Chedika. It cuts like a Vajra. And then the commentator Kamalaśīla explains that this prajñāpāramitā sutra is like a Vajra, right? It resembles the shape of Vajra, just as Vajra is big on both ends and very thin in the center, right? Just like that, this particular sutra discusses the practice or the path of prajñāpāramitā, perfection of wisdom, in three levels, yeah, three categories, three parts. Which are the three parts? Remember, the first part was no, not that one. The practice. The first part was sorry. No, not that one. Not that one. It is about some Bhumi Charya, remember? Huh? Already gone. Everything is flat. I should take back the chocolates. I thought this is a good. Yeah, faith. Yes, it was. You can keep one chocolate. It was Adhimukti Charya Bhumi, right? Then the last was Buddha Bhumi, and in the center there is Shuddha, yeah, Shuddhadhyashaya. Okay, Shuddhadhyashaya Bhumi. So basically, it is Adhimukti Charya Bhumi is the first place and where you see developing the confidence of the faith, right? The practice of Adhimukti. That's the first level that is discussed quite in detail, and so is the last part, Buddha Bhumi, the level of enlightenment, the Bhumi of enlightenment, the plane of enlightenment. That is also discussed in detail. But the section dealing with Shuddhadhyashaya Bhumi is discussed in brief, right? So that's why these are the three stages. And Shuddhadhyashaya Bhumi, I told you, it means purification of one's heart or intention, right? So that is there. Okay, so that was about the title. And we have seen that why it is called prajñāpāramitā and so on and so forth. And then we talked about the commentary. And then the commentary discusses this sutra at the beginning. The commentary says that this sutra has 5 parts. Yeah? 5 parts are there of this commentary. And which are the 5 parts of the commentary? Sorry, of the text? Which are the 5 section parts of the text? The commentary divides the text into 5 sections. First one is Nidana. Yeah, that's basically the background. Then Upodghata, that's the beginning or the opening of the sutra. The third, Buddha Vangsha Anupachcheda, that means continuity of the Buddha lineage. And the fourth is Pratipatti Lakshana. So this is basically the definition, or you can say just characteristic of the path, Pratipatti, yeah, progress. And finally, Pratipatti Sthana, that is the actual, you can say different stations. Yeah, Sthana is actually the stop. Yeah, Sthana, place. So you can say stations. So different stations on the path, right? So these are the 5 sections, and so we have seen that the very first part where he just says that where the sutta was spoken, who spoke the sutra, and who were the audience, and so on. So that was just a nidana, right? And then we have seen that this Subhuti was seated there in that assembly, and then he gets up, salutes the Buddha, and asks him questions, and so on and so forth. That part includes 2 things. It includes the Upodghata, the beginning of the sutra, as well as the continuity of the Buddha Vangsha. And then the question he asks is a Pratipatti Lakshana, and then the answer by the Buddha. So the entire remaining sutra is Pratipatti Sthana. Okay. Now about the commentary, we learned that commentary, what does commentary do? Commentary again deals with several points. Which are the points which commentary deals with? We discussed that last time. Sorry? Prayojana, yeah, it starts with Prayojana and Abhidheya, the 2 things, right? It gives you the subject matter of the text, and it also explains the purpose of the text, right? And our commentator Kamalaśīla says that the very title of the sutra, Vajracchedikā prajñāpāramitā Arya Vajracchedikā prajñāpāramitā Sutram. So this itself gives you the subject matter, and it also indirectly tells you the prayojana, the purpose. Why you should study this sutra? Because by studying this sutra, you can develop the prajna, you can perfect your wisdom, and by perfecting your wisdom, what you can do? You can destroy klesha varana and jneya varana, right? So to destroy that klesha varana and jneya varana and to perfect one's wisdom, that's the prayojana of the sutra, right? And that is also the subject matter of the sutra is prajñāpāramitā. Okay, that is the subject matter. Then after that, what else you learn? Chetan, you said something some time ago. Remember?
Yes.
What is that?
I asked.
No, not ask. When I asked you about the Istri Bhumi, you said something, which is actually connected with the commentary. What commentary does? It gives you.
Commentary is that.
Sorry. No, before word meaning, what it does? Yeah. Sorry. Abstract. It is called Pindartha. Pindartha. Yeah. It gives you the meaning in nutshell. Yeah. It explains the subject in nutshell. The Pindartha. So it's kind of a summary or outline. So when we have this, like commentator says that okay, this sutra has 5 sections: Nidana, Upodghata, Buddha Vangsha Anupachcheda, yeah, Pratipatti Lakshana and Pratipatti Sthana. This is kind of a summary of the sutra, right? So this is Pindartha, what Kamalaśīla gives you. Then what? Then we have this Padartha, right? Word meaning. So word by word, he explains the meaning of the terms. And then what he does? What else? Yeah, connection. So Pada Sambandha or Anvaya. So Pada Sambandha, he explains the connection among words. Okay. And then questions, possible objections, possible doubts, right? This is called Chodana. And then solutions, answers, yeah, or explanation, which is called Parihara, right? So this is the structure of a commentary. You take any commentary, okay? Sukosila. And now see, when we also read, for example, Moggallana's commentary, right? It also follows the same pattern. All commentary, you take any commentary, either of a sutta or of a grammar or of any other science, they follow the same style, right? This is the format used by Indian scholars to write commentary. So it is not confined to Pali, Sanskrit. You take any, right? Even a grammatical text, they do the same, right? You see, even Moggallana, for example, when he explains the sutra, he gives you vritti, he gives you example, and then he also raises some questions. Katham so and so, right? And then he gives answer. So again, the Chodana Parihara part is there. Okay. Good. So we read up to that portion last time, right? Now we will move on a bit in the commentary. Just a minute. Where am I? Yeah. Yeah. So that's it. What we have seen until now, right? So all these points are clear to you. So then we will just continue a bit with just a minute. Okay. Now we will start with the commentary. Remember last time we read the commentary. Evam me maya shrutam, right? That was the very first line. And the commentary explains that this term evam means in this way, thus, right? So when you say thus have I heard, so this actually thus refers to the actual sutra which follows. Yeah, this is what I have heard. And then when it is said, it indicates that this is exactly how I heard. Yeah. So that means there is nothing more, nothing less. Right? Evam. Thus. So this word thus in this way kind of also restricts or emphasizes what he has heard. And that is exactly, he says, what I heard. Okay. Then we have this word maya, by me, instrumental, singular, right? And it expresses someone who has heard this, right? So this is a first person pronoun, as it is quite clear. It's a first person pronoun. And so this is something which is heard by what do you say? Like in Pali discourses, for example, we always say that this is something which is said by Ananda, right? Because Ananda is responsible for remembering the sutra. Okay. So Anand is said to be, uh, said to be the one who is responsible for remembering all the discourses of the Buddha. And we know that after the passing away of the Buddha, when the council took place, Ananda was responsible for explaining the different sutras, right, which were taught by the Buddha. Now, Kamalaśīla makes an interesting point. He does not mention Ananda, but he says, when you say Maya Shrutam, heard by me, that means this is what I directly heard from the Buddha. This is not something which, like somebody else has told me, or this is not a heresy. This is not hearsay. Yeah, maybe Chetan said something and to Sunim, and then Sunim said it to maybe Sukosila, and then she said it to someone else. So it is not something which comes by tradition, but this is what I actually heard myself, right? So there is this element of direct knowledge, direct understanding, right? So this is emphasized by this word Maya, evam Maya Shrutam. So thus have I heard. So I was not told by anybody, or I haven't read it in books, but this is my direct knowledge. This is my direct understanding. Yeah, I directly heard the sutra from the Buddha. Okay. Now the word Shrutam is a past participle from the root shru, right? To listen. Now, literally it means heard, yeah, and heard basically has two meanings. One is hearing is okay, but when you say shruta, it also used for knowledge. So this is what I heard. So this is not my realization. So in the commentary, Kamalaśīla said that it does not refer to adhigama. Adhigama means realization. Yeah. So when I say I heard this, that means this is my knowledge, but only at a shrutamaya knowledge, right? Not my realization. You get the point? Yeah. So this is shrutam, just heard. So let's say whosoever the Sangeetikāra, because see, these sutras are collected by they are you can say authenticated in the assemblies, right? In the councils. Now, so those members of the council, so they say, okay, this is what we have heard. It's not something which we have realized, but this is what we have heard. So this is just our, you can say, our knowledge by hearing, or by maybe, but not by realization. Okay. Yeah. So, and this particular expression, evam maya shrutam, is Kamalaśīla makes it clear that this is used only before the Buddha Vachana. Yeah, only before a certain sutta which is taught by the Buddha, not by anybody else, right? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So this is about the first line in the commentary. Then with the second line, where we talk about the place and what do you say? And the place and time and audience. So basically, as I say that in this next line, ekasmin samaye Bhagwan Shravasthayam viharati sma, right? And Anathapinda, Chetavani Anathapinda Arame, and then with all this Bhikshu Sanghena Sardam and so on and so forth, right? Now, in this particular line, we are talking about the time, place, and speaker, and the audience. 4 things are mentioned. Okay? Place, time. So ekasmin samaye, once upon a time. on one occasion. Now, this on one occasion is very important because when Buddha gave this discourse, that particular time, that particular samaya is very important because such high level of discourse is not given every time, right? There are special occasions. There are special moments when such very profound discourses are given. So Kamalaśīla says that Ekasmin Samaya refers to a very special time, yeah, a unique time, a unique moment when this discourse was given. Okay. Now, there are two traditions in the I mean there are two ways of interpretation in the tradition. In Pali tradition, there is no doubt. I mean, they simply say Evam Maya Shrutam is one sentence, and Ekam Samayam Bhagava Savatyam Viharati Jetavani, etc. is the next sentence, right? So in Pali tradition, they always connect Ekam Samayam with the following, right? But in this tradition, and I think this also happens in Tibetan translations, right? So sometimes what you see that they connect Ekasmin Samaye with the preceding sentence. So Evam Maya Shrutam Ekasmin Samaye, full stop. And then they start a new sentence. Bhagwan Shravastham Viharati Sma Jetavani Anathapindadasya Arame, etc. So according to that interpretation, you have to understand that this is what I heard on one occasion. Okay. Isn't it right? I mean, Tibetan does that, right? Yeah. But I mean, it seems that this is there because this is what we find in a Kamalaśīla's commentary. So Kamalaśīla is aware of that. So this is not just Tibetan, but already in the Sanskrit tradition itself, they are aware of these two types of interpretation. So this is what I have heard on one occasion. So maybe Buddha is giving different discourses on different occasions, right? So on one occasion I heard like this. Maybe on some other occasion I heard something else. Yeah. So that should be the understanding. But in the more common, more popular thing is like to connect Ekam Samaya with the following, as we see the punctuation there in your edition, right? So we have Ekam Evam Maya Shrutam, full stop, and then a new sentence, Ekasmin Samaye Bhagwan Shravastham Viharati, and so on. Okay. I think that is more natural, in fact. But anyway, this is what we see already in the tradition. Now, you all have to remember that this is a commentary written. Kamalaśīla was probably writing in the 10th, 11th century. I think 9th century, no, 9th or 10th century. I'm a bit confused with the time. But I think he was, I mean, he was involved in that Sangye debate, yeah, in Tibet, when they had a debate to decide which Buddhism to follow, Indian or Chinese. So Kamalaśīla represented the Indian part. So in the Sangye debate, Sangye monastery, right? So so he's aware of this. He's aware of this kind of interpretation. Okay. Now, next one, when he says Viharati, so he was staying, he was living at one place. So this refers to, of course, the place where the sutra was taught. Okay. So because I mean, of course, sometimes he stays there, sometimes he stays on some other place, or Vajracchedikā, sometime in Vaishali, sometime maybe in Anga, and so on and so forth. So this place is very important. Okay. Okay. Now he's called Bhagavan, of course. Bhagavan refers to the Buddha. And there are several interpretations of the word Bhagavan. Actually, one simple is like Bhaga means fortune or good fortune, accomplishment, and Bhagavan means someone who has good fortune, good accomplishments. And therefore, in English, often the word Bhagavan is translated as blessed one. Yeah, blessed one, because he's actually the fortunate one. He has Bhaga, and Van is a possessive suffix. But then there are also other interpretations. One more popular interpretation is that he is called Bhagavan because he has destroyed Mara's army. Yeah, there are four types of Maras. Yeah, and he destroyed them. So Bhagna, it is basically derived from the Sanskrit word Bhagna. Bhagna means one who has destroyed. It's past participle from the root Bhaja, to break, to destroy. So since he has destroyed Mara's army, he is called Bhagavan. So that is another interpretation, which which is the way the word Bhagwan is used. And then the exact location is mentioned with when you say Shravastyam Viharati Jetavane Anathapindadasya Arame. So this is again typical in the sutras. So first you talk about the more broad general address, general location, and then you go to more specific location, right? So, sorry. No, I mean there is not much difference between the interpretation of Lord Bhagwan in the Mahayana tradition or in the Theravada tradition. They basically understand it in the same manner. Not much difference, actually. As I said, this one who possesses fortune, good fortune, that is also there in the. You can also find it in Buddhaghosa's commentaries. And for example, someone who has destroyed Mara army, who has shattered Mara's army. So that way also this interpretation is also found in the Pali commentaries. Yeah. So it's common. Okay. Sorry. In Tibetan, you have Chomdende, right? So Chom is to destroy. Yeah. And then is what? Bhaga, right? I think. Yeah. So Chomdende. Day is actually. It shows that actually day is past tense. Okay, so basically they take that kind of etymology. See, you have to remember that Tibetan translations are based on these different etymologies. For example, Chomdende refers to someone who has destroyed Mara, who has killed. Yes. Yeah. So that kind of interpretation they accept. Yeah. Last time I did some people they were asking me that why consider as I told them that it's also for just to respect those. It's also respect those. I just and I didn't get the issue. Yeah. Okay, so then we have this. As I said, the location is described. First, the more broad location, Shravastyam Viharati. And of course, in the commentary, they say Shravastyam does not mean in the Shravasti, but close to Shravasti. Because, I mean, it is said in the Vinaya that the monasteries should be built not inside the city, but close to the city, not very far, not very close. Yeah. So, I mean, when you say Shravastyam Viharati, it means he was staying near Shravasti in Jeta's Grove. I mean, and you know this story. I mean, we just read it. You remember last time, right? Especially the part 2 students. Satan, the name that we read this section in the Vinaya Vastu about dedication of this vihara by Anathapindada. So therefore, this particular expression is used, Jetavane Anathapindadasya Arame. right? Yeah. And this particular place is mentioned because such places where certain discourses are given, these places become very holy places. Yeah, they are important places. They are holy places. So it is said that where such discourses are given, they become as if like holy shrines. So Shravasti, of course, is a holy place for Buddhists, and therefore even now many Buddhists they visit Shravasti, right? Because many of the great discourses were taught in this place. Yeah. Yes. And then we have the audience. So you can see Ekasmim Samaya refers to time. Bhagwan, Shravastham Viharati. Here Bhagwan is a speaker. Then we have Shravastham Viharati Jetavane, that's the location. And then the next phrase, Ardha Trayodashabhi Bhikshu Shatai, I mean, Sambhavulai Bhikshur Ardha Shratai, Ardha Trayodashabhi Bhikshu Sangai. I mean, this is basically the audience, right? The audience. Uh, Now, for the first year students, of course, this Jetavana Anathapindada se Arama. So there's a garden by Anathapindada. You know that Anathapindada bought this land from Jeta, who was a prince there, and he was not ready initially to sell this land, but Anathapindada spent all his wealth. He covered this whole land with all his wealth, and then still there was some land left. And so finally, this Jeta thought that, okay, if this man is buying this land for such a great value, then this must be some kind of very important reason behind this. So then he also decided to make donation of that remaining land. So he made a donation of the remaining land and also built a gateway there, a gate for the monastery. And therefore, this monastery is always referred to as Anathapindada's park, but in the Jetavana. See, it always comes with Jeta's reference. Okay, it is never mentioned without Jeta. Okay, yeah. Now, about this audience, about the audience. When Buddha gave this discourse, why is the audience mentioned? Now, interestingly, Kamalaśīla says that they are the witness. They are the witnesses. So Buddha gave this discourse, but who heard it? So there was this audience. So the audience is a Shakshi. You remember there is a story when the night of the enlightenment, Mara came and then he asked Buddha to get up from his seat, right? And the Buddha said no. And then he talked about his qualities and so on and so forth. And the Mara says, "Who is your witness?" And the Buddha said, "This earth is my witness." Right? So they had this witness. So this idea of witness, somebody is there to authenticate that, okay, this is something which Buddha has really said. Now, so Kamalaśīla takes this mention of the audience as a witness. The bhikshus and the bodhisattvas, they are the audience, they are the witnesses of this discourse. Okay, and the bhikshus, I mean, they are called so because I mean, there are different etymologies of the word bhikshu, bhikkhu. They are not scared of Mara. They are the one who see fear in the samsara and so on and so forth. So and they are in large number, and then their actual number is mentioned, which we have seen. Arsardha Trayodasha Bhikshu Shataihi. Right. So this is the actual number of bhikshus, because he initially just said Sambodhulehi bhikshu with many bhikshus. Right. Now, in case of bodhisattvas, however, what he said? So in case of bodhisattvas, he does not give a number, right? What does he say? So he says Sambhavulai bhikshu, sorry, Sardha Trayodashabhi, and then what he says? After that? That sentence, can you read? Bodhisattva. So he says there's many bodhisattvas. Because bodhisattvas, he says they are infinite in number. Monks are limited, but bodhisattvas are many. And therefore, bodhisattvas are not numbered. Right? Okay. And they are larger in number. And another thing is like they are the main audience of the sutra. Bhikshus are there, but bhikshus are not the main audience. The main audience is the bodhisattva. Why? Sorry? They are the right beings. Just a minute, just a minute. I think I'm back now. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So he said the main audience is the bodhisattva. Because this is something which only bodhisattvas can understand. See, I mean, in all the Mahayana sutras, they always say that the bhikshus cannot understand all the things. Remember, we also read in Shravaka, Sadhana Pundarika last time, right? Shravakas are there, they are intelligent. That's okay, but all the Shravakas put together also cannot understand about Bodhi, right? We read that last time, remember? Sukho, Santi, Sukho, Saddha. Pante, are you there? Okay. So, I mean, they always think that the Shravakas cannot understand all these profound teachings, right? They are primarily meant for the Bodhisattvas because they have the capacity to understand. Okay. Now, what is Bodhisattva? We use the term Bodhisattva. What does it mean? Yes. Okay. Now you see the word Bodhisattva is a compound term. It has two parts, right? Bodhi and Sattva. And Kamalaśīla explains the term Bodhisattva. He explains this compound. This is Padartha, you see. So he says, yeah. So he says, Bodhau Sattvam Ashayo Yesham. So someone who has intention or aspiration with regard to Bodhi. Bodhau Sattvam Yesha. So someone who has, so this is a Bahuvri interpretation. Someone who has aspiration or intention with regard to Bodhi. Actually, you have this again in Tibetan when it says Chanchup Sempa. Yeah? So Chanchup is Bodhi and sempa, like someone who has sempa, the mind, the intention, right, for bodhi. So please remember that he's not interpreting the word sattva as being, huh? Because sattva also has a sense of being, right? Sattva means being. Okay. Now, there is one more adjective which is attached to the word bodhisattva. What is that adjective? Mahasattva. Now, why is this adjective used?
Person is better than others.
Yeah. Now you see here. Now you try to understand that the commentary explains the word sattva as intention. Okay. Now, so bodhisattva is someone who has intention or who is intent upon enlightenment. Okay. Now, even the Shravakas are also intent upon enlightenment because they also want to become arhat, right? They also want to get the knowledge, awakening. They are also intent upon enlightenment, but the intent of the bodhisattvas is far more greater as compared to the Shravakas. That's what they want to indicate. So therefore, he says Mahasattva. These bodhisattvas are Mahasattvas. I mean, their intention is great. It's far more greater than the bhikshus. You got the point? Now see, this is the job of a commentator. Commentator is not translating. He's not a translator. See, translator's job is just to provide a synonym or equivalent in the language in which he is translating the text. But it is the commentator's job to explain the word meaning, but also to explain the significance of using a particular term. Right? Why he uses bodhisattva, why he uses mahasattva, why that adjective is necessary, and so on and so forth. So he's responsible for all this kind of a interpretation. Okay. Yeah. There is also interestingly, I mean, in the commentary. Now this is important. Now this you will not get in the translation. But why bodhisattvas are called mahasattvas? Now in the commentary gives you some reasons for it. Why bodhisattvas are called? So he said dharma, chittotpada, adhimukti, adhyashaya, sambhara, kala, sampratipatti lakshanaihi, saptabhir mahatvair upetatvat mahasattva. So they have 7 types of greatnesses, 7-fold greatness these bodhisattvas have, and therefore they are called mahasattvas. They have 7 types of greatnesses. Which are the 7? Now he says they have dharma, greatness with regard to dharma. Okay, with regard to teaching. Okay, why? Because for Shravakas, what the Buddha taught? Buddha only taught Shravakas those sutras which we find in the agamas, right? Or in the Nikayas. Yeah, those are the discourses which were taught to the Shravakas. But bodhisattvas, they have got more discourses. They also know the Nikayas, but on the top of that, they were also taught sutras like Pundarika, prajñāpāramitā, right? Dashabhumika and all these Mahayana sutras. So these Mahayana sutras are taught only to the bodhisattvas. They are not taught to Shravakas. So they have more sutras, more dharma. They know more dharma than the Shravakas, and therefore they are great. They are superior as compared to the Shravakas. That's the first thing. Chittotpada mahatvam. The second one is they are also great with regard to chittotpada. They're the production, literally producing mind. That is with regard to their aspiration. Chittotpada. Yeah, chittotpada literally means producing the mind, but that means having a thought. That means having an aspiration, right? So the aspiration of bodhisattvas is greater than the aspiration of the Shravakas, the bhikshus, right? Because bhikshus aspire for what? Shravakas aspire for what? They aspire for arhathood, right? Arhatva. Whereas bodhisattvas aspire for highest enlightenment, anuttara samyak sambodhi. Yeah, highest and perfect enlightenment. So they don't compromise. They say they are not happy with anything less than that. Yeah. Okay. So with regard to aspiration, they are greater. Next, third is adhimukti mahatva. Adhimukti is that conviction, the trust, the confidence, right? So bodhisattvas have greater adhimukti, greater confidence, greater conviction, yeah, as compared to the bhikshus. Okay, why? Because they alone trust or have confidence in this very profound and very, you can say, high level of teaching. You remember last semester, we read about Sadhana Pundarika, and Buddha was always worried. He says, don't have doubts, Shariputra, you should not have doubt about this teaching. Tathagata will not teach you wrong things, right? Because there is always a fear that the Shravakas will not believe. Yeah, they don't believe in these kind of teachings. Yeah, they always have doubts. They don't have confidence in the Buddha. So their confidence in the Buddha is limited as compared to the confidence of the bodhisattvas. Yeah. So therefore it is adhimukti mahatva. So this is the third point on the basis of which bodhisattvas are superior to the Shravakas. Okay. Point number 4. Ashaya mahatva. Ashaya, their inclination, their intent, their intention. So their heart, you can say. Okay. Their intention or their heart. So you can see the intention of the bodhisattva is much more superior as compared to the intention of a Shravaka. Why? Because Shravaka, only is he only longs for, wishes for, or intends on his own liberation, right? Whereas bodhisattva wants to liberate all sentient beings, right? So his heart is much more purer, much more, you can say, magnanimous, yeah, much more sublime than the hearts of the disciples, the Shravakas. Okay. So they want to do welfare and happiness for all. Okay.
Presenting certificate participation. इसमें ऐसा किया, this certificate is presented to Miss/Mrs. जो भी है Mr. and Dr. dot फिर for presenting the paper entitled वहाँ पे पूरा जो है document entitled
ये मिस वहाँ पे मत ही रखिए, सिर्फ डॉक्टर सो एंड
डॉक्टर अच्छा in the international conference on Buddhist heritage of Maharashtra organized by Department of Parliament
on such and such topic. तो ये टॉपिक भी
entitled करके वहाँ पे टॉपिक लिखना पड़ेगा हाथ से बस हाँ ठीक नहीं करना कुछ in the international conference on Buddhist heritage of Maharashtra organized by Department of Parliament and Buddhist Studies, Savitribai Phule Pune University, in collaboration with Government of Maharashtra, Department of Cultural Affairs, Directorate of Archaeology.
वहाँ पे जो उनका नाम प्रॉपर है वही सब नाम अपने
हाँ वही लिया वही जितना है ना महाराष्ट्र डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ कल्चरल अफेयर्स डायरेक्टरेट ऑफ आर्कियोलॉजी म्यूजियम फ्रॉम 18 to 20 जनवरी 2023 और यहाँ पे प्रोफेसर महेश ए देवकर प्रोफेसर एंड हेड
और उनको पूछिए कि वो शायद हेमंत दवे भी शायद साइन करेंगे एज अ कन्वीनर, क्योंकि हम दोनों कन्वीनर हैं ना, तो मेरा साइन होगा तो उनका भी होना चाहिए।
तो फिर आपका प्रोफेसर हेड करके आएगा ना, उनका कन्वीनर देना पड़ेगा।
नहीं मेरा भी, हम लोग दोनों कन्वीनर है ना कॉन्फ्रेंस के। हाँ कन्वीनर और फिर सिग्नेचर वो एक बार कंफर्म करा के लीजिए।
सर ये चेयरिंग का है ना, ये सर्टिफिकेट फॉर अप्रिशिएशन किया उसका,
Certificate of appreciation.
of appreciation, हाँ, नहीं for नहीं, certificate of appreciation. This certificate is presented to, अभी मिसेस को हटा दें, डॉक्टर यहाँ पे नाम रहेगा, for chairing the session in the international conference
बाकी
on,
सब है, हाँ,
बाकी
ठीक,
वही है, सर, ठीक है, इसके बाद ये जो certificate of participation,
ये सर्टिफिकेट अटेंडेंस के लिए यहाँ पे।
नहीं, वो अटेंडेंस का अलग बना, 2-3 उसमें बस वही है सर कि
For
अटेंडेंस
attending
किया
the
हुआ, बाकी फॉर अटेंडिंग इन दी
For attending the conference, हिंदी नहीं,
इनका-
for attending the conference. नहीं, the सिर्फ for attending. एक बार वो भी टिक for attending the conference.
वो करेगा कि नहीं, हमने बोला वो करेगा क्यों नहीं करेगा
क्या?
सर्टिफिकेट
नहीं, वो करेगा, उनको पूछिए, अगर वो नहीं मानता है तो फिर हम लोग बाहर से करवा लेंगे।
बाहर से ले
हाँ हाँ ठीक है,
फिर बना के पूरा 2-3 होता है,
हाँ हाँ ठीक है, उनको बोला कि वही करेगा तो अच्छा है, क्योंकि वो पैटर्न एक ही रहेगा। हाँ फिर वो आज हाँ sorry. Yeah, so this was a fourth point. So Ashaya. So we have seen until now. So they are great as far as their dharmas are concerned, as far as their aspiration is concerned, as far as their adhimukti, that is confidence is concerned, or faith is concerned, or as far as their intention is concerned. So, so this was the fourth one which we have seen, on which ground they are superior to the Shravakas. Then next one is Sambhara. Sambhara means basically you can say the it is just like what you, how much merit have you acquired, so or how much knowledge have you acquired. So Sambhara is that those necessary conditions. So you can say that bodhisattvas have better conditions than the Shravakas. Why? So because their merit and their knowledge is unlimited as compared to the knowledge and merit of the Shravakas. Because we will always see that the bodhisattvas have cultivated these qualities not just in presence of one Buddha, right? But many Buddhas, many for many kalpas. Remember, we read also last time in Sadrapanarika, right? So the Buddha said that these bodhisattvas have cultivated merit and gained the knowledge, yeah, with many Buddhas, right? Hundreds and crores of Buddhas, yeah, and for many kalpas. So you can see, so their bank balance is much more than the bank balance of the Shravakas. So this was another point, Sambhara. So this is called Sambhara in Sanskrit. Okay. Next point is Kala, time. So Bodhi, for Bodhi, attainment of Bodhi, Bodhisattva has to strive for many asankhya kalpas. I mean, this is the idea, right? That they have to strive for such a long time to attain this highest enlightenment. Arhathood you can acquire in one life, right? But to attain Bodhi, you have to spend several lifetimes. That was the next point. Then the next point is Sampratipatti. Okay, Sampratipatti means attainment. Attainment. So the attainment, of course, we have seen that attainment of a Shravaka is, of course, Arhatva, whereas attainment of Bodhisattva is highest enlightenment. So on all these grounds, you can see Bodhisattvas are superior to Shravakas, and therefore they are called Mahasattvas. Okay, so that's another interpretation. Therefore they are called Mahasattvas. Okay. Yeah. Now, when we say Viharati, the Buddha was living, staying in Shravasti. So Viharati either is simply like he lives with all the four Iriyapathas, all the four modes, dispositions, such as walking, sleeping, walking, standing, sitting, lying down, or you can say that he was living in a very high state of mind. So this viharati either can refer to physically staying or staying in a very sublime state of mind. So for both you can use the word viharati. Okay. Yeah. Now the question is, I mean, now see, the commentator sometimes raises points which we otherwise never think of. Now the normal question would be that, okay, if bodhisattvas are so great, if they are so superior to the bhikshus, then why bhikshus are mentioned first? Yeah. So if they are so great, they are superior to bhikshu, then I mean the bodhisattva should have been mentioned first. Why bhikshus are mentioned first? So this is a question which is raised in the commentary. So this is a chodana, and then he gives you some kind of explanation. He says bhikshu sangha is given. I mean they are mentioned first because they are krutakrutya. Krutakrutya means they have finished their task. They have completed their job. Yeah, they have accomplished their duties. Krutakrutya. Krutya means duty. Kruta means done. So they have done their duties. Why? Because all these 1250, they're all arhats. So they decided to become arhats and they have already become arhats. So they have completed their job. Right? Secondly, they are, he said, mrudu karunika. They are compassionate, but they are not so greatly compassionate. And therefore, they always sit close to the Buddha. Because their compassion is not so great. So, and they have done all their job. You know. So what they are doing? They are sitting close to the Buddha all the time. So in a way, this is not a praise, remember. This is not a praise of the Shravakas. But this is a very subtle criticism of the Shravakas. Because Shravakas, they don't have enough compassion. And they think that they have done their job. So now they are just ideally sitting there close to Buddha. Right? Whereas, how about bodhisattvas? So, bodhisattva always feel that his task is not complete. Why? Because they want every sentient being to become enlightened, right? So they think that no, my job is not over. Yeah? So maybe Sukhosanti is enlightened, but Thai Veera is still not enlightened. So I should make efforts, make him enlightened, right? If he gets enlightened, then I should look at Sukhosanti, Sukhosaddha, and say, oh, she's still there. So they always never feel that their job is over, right? Because there are so many infinite sentient beings, so they are always busy. And they have great compassion because they have duties towards the entire world. So they don't have time to sit near to the Buddha. You understand? They're always busy going here and there, finding beings to to enlighten, make them enlightened, to teach, and so on and so forth. So they're always busy. So they have a task at hand. They have a mission to perform. So they are not sitting quietly near Buddha. They are far from him. Yeah. Therefore, those who are near are mentioned first, and those who are not so near, they are mentioned second.
I think
Yes.
these two are mentioned first. I think because in the because these two is the totally completely monk and bodhisattva, including the lay people and bhikshu.
Yeah, but that means that you can write that if you are a Theravada commentator. You are writing as if a Theravada commentator. So if you write as a from Theravada commentator's point of view, then you would like to say that no, these bhikshus are superior to bodhisattvas. So therefore they are mentioned first. Yeah, but remember, Kamalaśīla is writing a commentary, but he is a Mahayanist. So he will never say that bodhisattvas are inferior to the bhikshus. Yeah, he will rather always say that they are superior to bhikshus. Okay. You see, I mean, I remember we have the same question raised in Buddhaghosa's commentary, right? So because he said that why bhikshus are mentioned, because in the Theravada sutras also, like Pali discourses, so the Buddha always said, so bhikkhave, and then because badante tite bhikkhu bhagavato pachassosum and so on. Now Buddhaghosa raises a question that if in Buddha's assembly, if they are bhikshu, bhikshuni, upasaka, upasika, if all of them are there, because they say that the Buddha's assembly is fourfold, right? Bhikkhu, bhikkhuni, upasaka, upasika, bhikkhu, bhikkhuni, samanera, samaneri, and so on. So the question is why only bhikkhus are mentioned? And there Buddhaghosa gives an answer, just like what you said, that they are superior. Yeah, they are superior to bhikkhunis, shamaneris, upasaka, upasikas, of course. And therefore, when they sit in the assembly, bhikshus always sit in front, right? They are in front rows. Yeah, and the others are in the back seat. Yeah. Okay. Therefore, the first row people are mentioned first. But this is what Buddhaghosa writes. Okay, and he's a Theravada commentator. Now Kamalaśīla is writing the commentary. He has the same question. Yeah, and for him it is important to explain why if bodhisattvas are superior, then why are they mentioned second? Yeah, why are they not mentioned first? And he has his own logic. Now, whether you agree to that logic is a different question, right? But see, I mean, why I'm showing you this, because you see how commentators write commentaries. You see, because they are writing commentary for a Mahayana Sutra, and in Mahayana Sutra, of course, we know that bodhisattvas have a superior place. Now, one can challenge this as you did. One can say, no, I mean, because so you have your own logic. You can say that okay, because they are all monks, therefore they are first. Bodhisattvas can be lay person, male, female, yeah, doesn't matter. So they are not so special, right? So they are secondary. But then you are not writing from the Mahayana perspective. Okay, that's a good explanation, logical, but not in keeping with the tradition. Okay, so I'm not saying that you're wrong, but it would be wrong if you're writing a Mahayana commentary. It would be right if you're writing a Theravada commentary. Yeah, a Shravakayana commentary, then people will appreciate. Yes, that's a very good explanation. Yeah, you defended the Shravakas. So you should always understand for whom you are advocating. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yeah, so it is very interesting that Kamalaśīla here says that because bodhisattvas are very busy, they're always wandering throughout the world, and not just in this world, but all thousands of worlds. Yeah, they're always going and trying to find out living beings whom they can teach, and therefore they cannot always sit close to the Buddha. So in this way, he's praising bodhisattvas. Yeah. And now in Kamalaśīla also makes a comment. He said, therefore, bodhisattvas are never mentioned in the Shravaka Sutras. The Shravakayana Sutras, like Pali Sutras, there's no mention of bodhisattvas. Yeah. Why? He says, because those Shravakas discourses are not for the bodhisattvas. They are for Shravakas. So bodhisattvas are not really attending those classes. Yeah. They say, okay, these are primary classes. So we'll not attend these lectures. Yeah. So therefore, now see, this is very interesting. The way the two traditions are having a dialogue. This is very subtle. Yeah, this is very subtle dialogue. So Kamalaśīla makes this comment. So at the end of Shravaka Sutras, bodhisattvas are never mentioned. Why? Because those sutras are not meant for them. Yeah, because these are just primary teachings, and so they are not there. They are busy in some other important job. So they don't attend the kindergarten classes.
You look like bodhisattva. A lot of jobs.
That does not mean that you should miss the classes. Okay. So don't take it that way. Otherwise, tomorrow you will not attend the class and tell me that, oh, this is not for me. I'm bodhisattva. Okay. Then the next sentence we saw that, can you read the next sentence, what we had? Bhagwan Shavasyam Viharati. And then that sentence after that, the next sentence was? Bhagwan Pindaya Pravikshat, no? What was it? Can you, Sata, can you tell me the next sentence?
Yes, yes, sir. Atho kalu Bhagavan Eva Nakalasamye
Purvanna Kala Samaye.
Vasya Vajracchedikā Pravasti Maharavi Hidaya Pravashat.
Yes. Now at that time, then you can then in the morning time, Purvanna Kala Samaye. Actually, Kala and Samaya are synonyms. Kala also means time. Samaya also means time. Isn't it? So, but we do have such compounds sometime in the Buddhist texts. Compounds of synonyms. So in the morning time, now you don't say morning time and occasion. Yeah? You don't have to translate it twice. In English, you can just translate it once. So then in the morning time, the Buddha went for alms. He entered the city, Pravikshat. Past tense, pra plus vish is the root. So he entered the city of Chiravasti for alms. Okay. Now, this indicates that the right time for alms round is morning. Yeah. So not in the afternoon. So right time. Okay. And this is just to emphasize that morning is the real time for alms round. Now, when you say nivasya, yeah, Purvanna Samayam nivasya, right? So nivasa means to put on the robe. Now, and this basically means to, put on proper robes for alms round. It does not mean that he was, not putting dress, but out of the three garments, sometimes they might, in the monastery, they might just use one or two garments. But now when you're entering the city, of course, you have to put all the three robes. So this refers to that kind of dress code and this, and this is in the commentary, they say that why it is necessary. He says because by wearing these three robes properly, the monk is showing, or the Buddha is showing that he is well disciplined. And this is important because if he is going for alms, to show others that he is well disciplined. And if he is well disciplined, he can also ask others to be well disciplined. If he himself is not disciplined, then he cannot teach others to be disciplined. Okay.
This was is gerund. Is it a gerund?
It's a gerund. Ni plus vasa. See, actually the root vasa means to live, but ni plus vasa means to wear something around the waist. Actually, nivasati, nivaseti, nivasayati, it means to wear a cloth around the waist. Mm, Now, again, I mean, as a commentator, there is question. Why did he enter for alms? Because for the Mahayana, they think of Buddha as a lokottara being, as a supramundane being, not as a normal human being, right? A normal human being may have hunger, thirst, right? So you can say, okay, because he was hungry, he went for alms. But you remember, Chetan and Sunim, you remember when you read Vimalakirti, for example. Yeah, remember there is a dialogue between Ananda and Vimalakirti. And Ananda says, I mean, once Vimalakirti meets Ananda and he asks, what are you doing here in Vaishali? And he says, no, the Bhagwan is, I mean, the Buddha is sick and I want to get some milk for him, right? And then Vimalakirti scolds him and he says, don't say like that. He is not an ordinary being, he's a Buddha. And his body is like a diamond. Yeah, his body cannot become sick, cannot become ill, right? And in other words, his body is such that it will not be affected by mundane things such as thirst, hunger, right? His body is not affected like that because it's a Buddha body. Yeah, this is not an ordinary person's body. Now that kind of idea is found in the Mahayana tradition. Especially, I mean, we have this particular school on the Lokottaravada school, which consider the Buddha as a Lokottara being, not as an ordinary being, right? So they say in the Buddha body is not like the ordinary one. So, I mean, this question will not arise for the Theravada because they say, okay, he is a Buddha, he is a human being, so he will become hungry, thirsty, he needs food, right? But the Lokottaravada perception of the Buddha body is different, right? So they have this question: why does he enter for alms? And then Kamalaśīla again. I mean, as a Theravada commentator, you can give a different answer. But the Mahayana commentator Kamalaśīla says, why he entered for alms? So he says, in order to cultivate contentment among the disciples. What do you mean by that? See, when you go for alms, then people donate the food, right? So that means if they have made, let's say, if they have made, let's say, 5 big bowls of noodles, if you're then supposed to give something for alms, so you have to content yourself maybe with 2 bowls or 3 bowls, yeah, not with all the 5. So you learn to become more contented with little, yeah. So this is called alpechata. Your desires becomes few. So in order to cultivate that, the fewness of desires among the disciples, okay, and he's doing this because he's giving you the opportunity to earn merit. So why Buddha goes for alms? He does not go for alms because he's hungry, but he goes for alms in order to give opportunity for lay people to earn merit. Yeah. So this is something, I mean, and he does it so that, you know, people develop faith in the Buddha. That's the reason why he goes for alms. So they have enumerated different purposes for Buddhas going for alms because they consider Buddha as a supernormal being, and therefore it is necessary now to explain. Then, if he is not really hungry, if he does not really require that food, why he goes for alms? And this is the reason. Okay. Okay. Then, and then the next sentence. Next sentence in that sutra. Will read. Sukha Santi, can you read the next one? Okay, stop here. So after wandering, Charitva, after wandering in the city of Shravasti Mahanagarim, the great city of Shravasti for alms. Now please remember that this root Chara, wander, it is connected, I mean, it has an object. Shravasti Mahanagarim, I mean, you can see the accusative, right? Even though in English I translate it with in the city of Shravasti. Yeah? But in Sanskrit, you will not use the locative, but accusative. Okay? That usage you should remember. Next one. Kruta Bhakta Krutyaha. So someone who has, now this is a Bahuri compound, someone who has finished his duty of eating. Kruta means done, Bhakta means food, and Krutya means duty, the act. So Bhakta Krutya means the act of eating. So someone who has finished the act of eating. Yeah, so this is an adjective for the Buddha. Sorry? Pindapata Pratikrantaha, right? So someone who has returned, Pratikranta. It's a past participle from Prati plus Krama. Krama means to move, to walk. And Pratikrama means to return, to come back. Yeah? Returning, coming back. And returning from where? Pindapata, from the alms round. So so he, after having returned from the alms round, yes? Yeah, Pratrachivaram Pratisamya. So having put aside or having kept in the right place his patra and shivar, his begging bowl and the robe. Okay. Yeah, Nyashidat. So he sat down. So Ni plus Sada, Sida is the root. So he sat down where? In the seat which was let down or which was prepared for him or which was assigned to him. So he sat down at the place which was actually kept for him. Prajñapte eva asane. There will be prajñapte eva asane. There is a sandhi there. Okay. Yeah, and then how he sat down. Now there is a description of how he sat down. Paryankam abhujya. Yeah. Yeah. So Paryankam abhujya means by folding his legs. Anka, Paryanka, I mean, this is like to sit with crossed legs, yeah. So having taken a cross leg position, you can say Paryankam abhujya. A plus bhuja literally means to bend. So to bend by bending his legs, that means by sitting cross leg. Then wait, so Rujum Kayam Pranidhaya. Pra plus Ni plus Dha is the root, and this is again a gerund. So having kept his body or having placed his body literally. How? Kayam is body. Rujum Kayam Pranidhaya. By keeping it upright, by keeping it straight, upright, Ruju. Ruju means straight or upright. Yeah. And Parimukhyam Smritim Upasthapya. And having made his Smriti, awareness, mindfulness, present. Yeah. Present in front of him. In front of him. So Parimukham. Okay. Um, Now, this is a typical description of how a Buddha or how anyone in a way, in fact, sits for meditation, right? This is, you can also find this description, you remember in the Pali text, for example, in the Sruti, the Satipatthana Sutta. Yeah, how should a monk sit for a meditation? So you say, okay, in the same way, Ujum Kayam Pranidhaya, Paryankam Abhujitva, Ujum Kayam Pranidhaya, Parimukam Satimupattapetva. Yeah, this is the exactly the same description which we get. So this is a posture which is always described when somebody is in a meditative state. Yeah, this refers to meditative state, where you can see when you sit with the cross legs, that shows the stability of your posture. Yeah, and then you mean the keeping the body straight. There's also a posture suitable for meditation that shows that he is alert. Yeah, he is not lazy. Okay, and then which is Parimukham Smritim Upasthapya. It shows that he is mindful. Okay, so he is mindful all the time, and his smriti is present. Okay. Now, so this rujuka, this ruju, the word ruju is very interesting term. I mean, upright is okay. I mean, it is a simple translation. But what it actually means is that he kept his body in such a way that it is not too relaxed, not too tense, not too hard. Yeah. So this talks about that balance. Yeah. When you sit for meditation, they always say, right? The body should not be very stiff, not very tense, but it also should not be very relaxed. Yeah. Otherwise, one would sleep. Okay. Yeah. And when the Buddha teaches something, now here you can see the Buddha is not sitting there to meditate, right? But this is also the posture in which he is teaching, he is giving discourse. Because the Buddha's discourse is coming also from his in a way in samadhi mind. Yeah, his concentrated mind. So it is not that when you basically sit like this only when you're meditating, but when you're teaching and at the same time when you're listening, right? So he says this is the posture. So your mind should be concentrated, your body should be stable, you should not be too tight, it should not be too relaxed. Yeah. So this is the proper way, and this is how Buddha is encouraging his disciples to develop their mind, to have that kind of alertness in their body, that mindfulness in the body. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And then this Parimukham Smritim Upasthapya, of course, again, it has different interpretations in different traditions. I mean, if you see that we also get a similar explanation, phrase, like let's say in Pali discourses, and there the Buddha Ghosh always say that Parimukham Smritim Upasthapya means by making your awareness present